Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Training Block Check-in number 3. For those that are new here, my name is John Wetmore, and I'm a former college football player who was playing on the offensive line for 4 years, and now I am on a little bit of a bodybuilding journey. And today we'll be breaking down how that journey is going, looking at the goals I have set and progress I've made along the way, as well as taking a dive into my programming and how my last 5 weeks of training have gone. One thing I want to do with this series is share some knowledge, as I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's degree in exercise science here in a couple months. I've lifted for many years. I've interned with some incredibly knowledgeable people in the strength and conditioning field and have done my fair share of reading in textbooks, scientific journals, looking through studies, all that good stuff. And today's special science rant will be on why training specifically for strength is important for bodybuilders. Yeah, so you're gonna have that to look forward to. Yeah, if you're here just for that, go ahead and skip to this time right here. But if not, let's get this show on the road. Looking at long-term goals, the main one is to lose a total of 60 pounds to go from 300 down to 240. And at the end of this training block, I weighed in at 282 pounds, which puts me at around 30% of the way at achieving that goal. Another big one is rehabbing my hand. I broke it a little under a year ago. Actually, on the day of recording this, it will be 2 days away from the 1 year anniversary of that happening. Then another major goal with that is right now, I want to get back to benching 315. Used to be able to get it for 3 before I broke it. Then, yeah, now I am still struggling a bit with it. I've been able to get 275 back into my hand this block. So, yeah, we're making damn good progress there. Um, Then, in my very first training block video I put out, I said that I want to get into bodybuilding competitively. And I actually did some research on like the shows that happen near me, and there's one that's not too far away. It's around 4 hours away that takes place in June. At least it's this June. I assume it's going to be the June after that too. So, my current thought is 15 months from now, next year, maybe try to do that. Maybe that's the first show I go to. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun to get on a bodybuilding stage. I do think 15 months might be the amount of time I need. I know I might need a little bit more. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think that is a good long-term goal to set is, hey, that's the first one we're doing. Looking at the short-term goals for the training block. The main one was just not gain any weight. It was a bit of a diet break for me, this block. I started at 285.5 pounds, and as I said before, I'm down to 282, which I'm super happy with. The goal is not gain any weight, and I lost a couple pounds instead, so that is a huge personal win for me. Other goals included hitting some PRs. Ended up hitting a 440-pound back squat, which was a 15-pound all-time PR, as well as hitting a 550-pound deadlift, which was a all-time PR by 5 pounds for me. However, on the deadlift, I do think I could have pushed it a little bit more. I think I had maybe 560, 565 in the tank if I just went for it at the time, but I think I would have been a little bit too fatigued. I'll show the clip later what the attempt looked like, but yeah, I think I might have been able to get it if I just went for it, but I guess we'll never know. Visually, I am very happy with how I look this training block. I think the most improved part of my physique is my forearms. The vascularity has improved a lot. I have started to see a slight bit of vascularity in my triceps and delts as well, which it would be even awesomer to see those pop out even more than they already are. Although I'll take what I can get. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that in my body. Very happy about that. Um, I am kind of sad to see that I haven't gotten any bicep veins to pop out. I've had this singular vein in my right bicep that I can only see in like ultra specific lighting that sits like right in here. It's really strange. It just refuses to pop out. But yeah, in terms of size, I stayed roughly the same, which is just as expected. Uh, really just happy to not lose size because with strength training, the stimulus for hypertrophy just isn't there. So not losing anything is huge. In terms of physical measurements, I am happy to see that my waist is shrinking down, as that means likely losing some body fat there, as well as also my legs shrinking down a little bit. Legs are also getting a bit more lean, can see a bit more muscle definition in there. Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed that my calves still aren't evening out, but hopefully sometime in a hypertrophy focus block will help them out. Yeah, it has also occurred to me that I have completely forgotten to take any sort of progress pictures for my legs, which I promise I will start doing that next block. Yeah, probably should have been doing it for a while because I got a decent set of legs on me. As promised earlier, here is that mini lecture on why training specifically for strength is important for bodybuilders. Strength focused blocks are actually a very good thing for bodybuilders to utilize, as building strength is a very useful tool to grow more muscle in the long run. Because after we grow muscle with a strength block, we can train that muscle to be better at lifting heavier things. Hi, this is John, currently editing the video, realizing that I should have explained this better. Um, Having bigger muscles doesn't magically make you better at lifting heavier things. It is a nervous system adaptation we get from lifting heavier that allows us to lift those heavier things. It is a physiological response from the body whenever, just like how doing hypertrophy work stresses the muscle to make it grow more, doing strength focused work stresses the nervous system to help it output more force. And when we're better at lifting heavier things, that means we lift more weights. When we lift heavier weights, we cause more damage to the muscle tissue, which, as most of us know, when we lift, there's little microscopic tears that happen in the muscle. Those get repaired. That's how they get bigger. And then when we cause more damage to the muscle fibers, that means we create more muscle mass. The cycle can just go on and on and on. So that's why mixing them in with our hypertrophy work is a good idea. Then a strength focus block can, when it's mixed into our hypertrophy work, can also work to help nullify the effects of adaptive resistance, which, for those of you who may not know what that is, it is the body's response to a stimulus, in our case being muscle growth, slowing down over time as the body experiences the stimulus for longer periods of time. Giving that break allows for the adaptive resistance to fade so that we can return to our normal levels of muscle growth once again when we start training for hypertrophy work again. And strength focus blocks can also be a fun change of pace to help mentally reset and keep training interesting and fresh. Because when training is fun and interesting, we tend to push ourselves harder. And yeah, that's obviously better in terms of growth. Main goals for this training block were to maintain size and to get stronger. Super straightforward. Yeah, I guess another goal was to have some fun, move some lightweight, baby. But yeah, training split was very similar to the predecessors. Push on Monday, pull on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, cardio, forearms, and abs on Thursday, upper body Friday, lower body Saturday, and rest on Sunday. With the compounds for this block, the reps were tapered to where did more reps at the start of the block and less at the end. So, for example, I said I did 4 sets of 5 to 3 reps. That means that at the start of the block, the exercise had 4 sets of 5, and at the end, it was down to 4 sets of 3. You will also be able to see up in that corner or the where and how the reps will taper off. Also, plus sets are gone for this block. This time around, using the heavier weights, training everything till failure was likely going to be a lot more fatiguing, so I would instead use a rep range for the last set, typically for 2 reps more than whatever was planned. So a set of 6, that exercise's last set was going to be a 6 to 8, just however many reps I could get. Then this was done to help manage fatigue over the longer block because this one was 5 weeks. Lastly, grading system is back, where the grades given are specifically based on my training and how they work with me. If I give your favorite exercise a bad grade, that does not mean it's a bad exercise. It could be a very good exercise. It just doesn't work for me. A good example is dumbbell RDLs, which in my gym, dumbbells only go up to 120. I just can't load them heavy enough for me. So they're not really worth my time. So even though they're a fantastic exercise, I gave them a bad grade because they don't work for me. All right, push day. First of the week started off hot with 4 sets of 5 to 3 reps of paused close grip barbell bench, which these, like they have been for the last few blocks, have been excellent for me. Um, yeah, I was able to push these very heavy while still being able to stimulate strength while they are still comfortable on my hand. I attribute this largely to the pause, as it makes the exercise meaningfully more difficult as opposed to doing like a touch and go. I strongly believe that finding a way to make exercises more difficult without increasing the load of the exercise is one of the best way to recover from injuries and sort of get yourself back into that rhythm of your normal lifting. Yeah, these were really good. They get an A from me. Barbell military press was up next for 4 sets of 6. I made some tweaks with this as compared to last time with these. I didn't push them as heavy and focus more on good form. Also, I moved them up earlier in the week because a standing military press relies heavily on stabilizing muscles like your core, which I believe last time having it later in the week had those muscles fatigued from all the other compound lifts. This time they weren't as fatigued, which is why I think they went a lot better for me. They moved a whole lot easier, felt a whole lot better. Um, Much bigger fan of these this time around. They get an A minus. Overhead cable tricep extensions for 3 sets of 6 were next. I really like these. I've said in the past these are a great way to train the triceps in a lengthened position, which absolutely remains true. Only thing to watch for is that when the weight starts to get heavier, sometimes the setup can be a little bit more difficult. As it being a cable exercise, the resistance profile will be at an angle from where you set up. So sometimes a little bit sketchy getting in and out. Doesn't feel too great on the shoulders, but they're still really good. They get an A. Machine chest flies, or also known as the pec deck, was up next for 3 sets of 6. And like I've said before, and will say again, this might be the single best chest isolation movement. There's a good reason that this is always one of the most used machines in the gym. These are insanely good. They get an A plus. To finish off, push day was seated dumbbell lateral raises for 3 sets of 6, which I have to say I am a big fan of these. Typically with lateral raises, I am a standing type of guy, have been for a while, but the seated nature completely stops you from using any momentum, which is super nice because yeah, I used to cheat on them a lot. Yeah, completely cutting out the momentum really helps you isolate those side delts more. Yeah, they just feel so much better that way. These are great. They get an A. Day two is pull day, which started off with 4 sets of 5 to 3 reps of deficit pen lay rows, which just like last time, these are absolutely fantastic. If I could only do one exercise for my back for the rest of my life, it would be these. Uh, they are great for training your entire back in a single exercise. Pulling from the floor, pulling from the floor allows you to really easily brace in between reps. The only issue I have faced is this time around, while I tried to push them a bit heavier, I find that my form deteriorates really quickly. It is really tough for me to gauge my jumps in weight, which may just be a me issue, but an issue nonetheless. These still are really great. They get an A. Moving on are barbell curls for 4 sets of 6, which I have to say, I'm a big fan of barbell curls. They provide a great stimulus to the biceps because you can load them fairly heavy, which allows you to put a lot of stress on the muscle. They get an A minus for me just because you can cheat these quite a bit by getting your hips involved and sort of hip thrusting the bar up, which makes the toughest part of the exercise a lot easier. So they get a slight knock from me for that. Then lat pull downs are up for 3 sets of 6. Now, if you were around for the first video in this series, you know I trashed lat pull downs a little bit during that block. They just did not feel great for me. Um, wasn't really feeling them too well. I knew that something needed to change, which if you also watched the last one, block number 2, you would know that the little change I did helped me out tremendously in how I felt with them. Now, having a little bit of time off and then coming back to the traditional grip I've been doing, yeah, these felt fantastic. Got an insane pump even doing sets of 6. Yeah, time off is definitely what I needed. They're feeling tremendous for the back. They get an A, which I'm sure my boy Carl would be very happy to see. Shout out Carl if you're watching this. Um, yeah, after that was face pulls for 3 sets of 6, and everything I said last time about face pulls remains true. They're still terrific for the upper back and rear delts. If you have not tried these, please do so. They are great. They get an A plus. And finishing pull day was incline dumbbell curls for 3 sets of 6, which I am a big fan of these. They do the same thing that Bayesian curls do, where they allow for the biceps to be trained in a lengthened position. The added benefit of stability being it is a seated movement. However, the resistance profile for these is a little bit worse than using cables, just because of how gravity works. But yeah, these are excellent. They get an A. Leg day is up next, and I think this is the most fun I've had with a leg day in a very, very long time of training. Yeah, first exercise up was back squats for 4 sets of 4 to 2 reps with an additional heavy single slash max out attempt, whatever you want to call it, on week 5. I actually really enjoyed back squatting this time around. Um, after having to do them for so many years with football, without a break from that, kind of made me dislike them. But yeah, getting back into them after taking a like 3 month break with the hack squatting I've been doing, um, has sort of reignited my spark of actually enjoying them, which is really cool. Yeah, but they are tremendous for lower body strength, especially in the quads. Big fan of them, especially now that I've started using a belt and knee sleeves to sort of protect my back and knees. Also, I hit a new PR at 440 pounds, which is really great. But yeah, enjoyed back squats. They get an A. Next up are quad extensions for 4 sets of 6. These are an absolute staple quad exercise for a reason. No other exercise isolates them as well as these do. Uh, yeah, they're easy A plus. Seated calf raises were next for 3 sets of 6. I like these. Everything I said about them last time remains true. Uh, Super stable, great at isolating the calves. Also, they feel very natural to load heavier on the machine while you're seated. A lot. It's a lot easier to go a lot heavier as compared to something like a Smith machine where you're trying to balance a bar on your back. Yeah, big fan of this. They get an A plus. Back extensions were the finisher for this leg day. I threw these in because I tend to get a lot of forward lean in my squat, just to because of how limb lengths are for me. Yeah, so I decided, you know, should probably train the lower back just because it takes on so much stress from being a little bit bent in the bottom of the squat. So I am strong in that position. These also do a great job of training the glutes. They get an A. Next day was cardio for arms and abs day. Um, yeah, it's just a mashup of all the things that haven't really gotten much attention on the other days. So they all got grouped together. Um, it is also worth noting that I skipped this day on week 1 because I was sick. I felt awful. I just decided to treat it as a rest day. Um, yeah, rest when you're sick. Don't pushing yourself when you feel absolutely horrible is a bad idea. Um, yeah, might make a video on that of just why it's such a bad idea. Let me know in the comments if it's something that you all out there would enjoy and be interested in. But yeah, this day started out with a superset of dumbbell wrist curls and wrist extensions, both for 3 sets of 12. With these, I didn't push them to failure or load them super heavy, as they were more used as a rehab tool for my hand. I probably should have started doing these a while ago, um, but yeah, I guess the best time to start something is a while ago, and the second best time is now. So um, yeah, because of these, I've noticed a decent improvement in hand functionality outside of the gym. Since I've started doing these, yeah, they're good. They get an A. Next was 3 sets of 10 on cable crunches, which I think are a very interesting exercise. I picked these out because they are probably the most popular and common ab exercise I see other people doing, but I don't get the hype. Even after doing them for a few weeks, I never really felt the mind muscle connection I did while trying other ab exercises, and it always felt like I was doing something wrong with them form wise. Even if whoever was watching me, like my gym buddy, he said, "Oh, yeah, they look fine. They look good." They never felt good, though. So, yeah, for that reason, they get a C. Maybe they work really well for other people, they just don't work for me. And to finish out was cardio, which the original plan was to go for a mile run, as you can see. Do that every time, but partway through, um, training partner, I guess he was going through lifeguard training, so and he needed to get back used to swimming again. So replace those days of swimming, which I think was a really good idea. Um, because I had a lot more fun swimming than I did running, which, uh, yeah, I hold a very big belief that the best form of cardio that you can do is whatever's fun. Yeah, because you're more likely to actually do it and care about doing it. So, yeah, do fun cardio. Upper day was next, which started with 4 sets of 6. on dumbbell incline bench, which I believe is a stellar movement. I think it's so much fun. It feels great for the upper chest. My only issue is that once I start to load these heavy enough where I really have to get a lot of leg drive involved, that kind of screws me over because, admittedly, this is kind of self destructive, but I have a shitty pushing angle with my leg drive. So I tend to push the bench back more than I do, pushing up, which tends to move the bench, which, yeah, the dumbbells stay where they're at, but everything else moves, which turns into a really weird angle to push at. Makes it a whole lot more difficult. Um, yeah, yeah, not a problem if I have somebody standing behind the bench, making sure it doesn't move. Shout out Peyton, guy in the video, behind me, making sure the bench doesn't move on me. But yeah, anyway, these are really good due to the slight hiccup with moving the bench with leg drive. Kind of sucks, but yeah, they get an A. Assisted pull-ups were up next for 4 sets of 6, and I have to say, assisted pull-ups are the single most underrated back exercise. Most people don't really train pull-ups in any variation because they either can't do that many pull-ups or they can't do any at all. Uh, which I think the number is around like 95% of people can't even do a single one, and most people are super self-conscious and think that people judge them for having to use the assisted one, which I think is really dumb. I guess thinking that people are judging you, or if you are somebody judging people out there, not cool, dude. But yeah, the only way to get better at pull-ups is to train them. But yeah, they're excellent for developing back strength. Absolutely love the assisted pull-ups. They get an A plus. Following those up are cable lateral raises for 3 sets of 6 each side. These are a really good way to isolate the side delt. Yeah, not much else to say about them. Easy A. Tricep pushdowns for 3 sets of 6 were next, and I like these. I haven't done them in a little while. They felt really good. Yeah, great way to isolate them in the shortened position. They're a great piece to pair with an overhead extension like I did on push day. Yeah, these are great. A plus. And to finish off upper body day was preacher curls, which are an excellent way to train the biceps in a shortened position. Lots of people get scared off by the videos of people tearing their biceps doing these, but the risk of that happening is very, very small as long as you don't train like an idiot. And slowly progressing through a full range of motion, slowly increasing the weight, keeping that range of motion big, you're not going to face any problems with these. And the pump you get from these, I was only doing sets of 6, and it was insane the pump I got from these. Yeah, they're great. They get an A plus. Up first on lower day was deadlifts, and I love deadlifts. They're an amazing exercise, and nobody can convince me otherwise. If anybody tells me the risk to reward ratio isn't worth it, I'm going to find that person, kidnap them, and force them through a training block where they're going to deadlift properly over an extended period of time so they can realize the error of their ways. Yeah, but anyway, I love deadlifts. They're tremendous for developing hamstring, glute, lower back, and grip strength. Easy A plus. Also on these, hit a new all-time PR, got 550, and I think I may have had upwards of 565 in the tank just because of how well 550 moved. And I think I should have shot a little bit higher, but yeah. Next up were seated leg curls for 4 sets of 6. I really like these. Great hamstring isolation movement. Not a whole lot else to say. Solid A. Single leg seated calf raises were up next for 3 sets of 6, which I like this variation of a calf raise. However, finding a way to float my foot took a little bit of time to get used to, which is my only real knock on them. They get a B plus, as I have since found a better way to train a single leg calf raise. Yeah, they're still good. There's just better options. Then, very final exercise of the training block was kettlebell tib raises for 2 sets of 15. These once again serve more of as a rehab exercise just because I have old man knees and they did a stellar job at what they needed to. Yeah, didn't really experience a whole lot of knee pain from this block, especially down on the below my knee. Yeah, they get an A plus. This block, I didn't track calories and macro wise, my only focus was on getting 250 or more grams of protein in per day. Uh, I tried to eat mostly foods that were good for you. Tried to follow a 80-20 split of healthy foods to unhealthy foods. I also focused on getting actual meals over protein shakes this block. Um, yeah, then I guess I also drank a little bit more alcohol than normal. Not by a ton, but a little bit. I'm typically not a big alcohol guy, so I mean, a little bit more isn't really a whole lot, but worth noting. Yeah, this block I ate a lot of tasty food just because diet break. Yeah, went crazy with the sauces. Sweet and sour chicken and noodles was probably my favorite meal out of this block, and I ate damn good. Another big thing, staying hydrated, super important. I average probably drink about anywhere from a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day. And as far as supplements go, I took pre-workout. Typically range anywhere from a quarter scoop to a full scoop, and I had creatine, probably averaging around 12 grams per day. Um, I guess I'm not sponsored by either of these companies I'm about to name, but it'd be really cool if I was. Somebody out there was watching this and wanted to sponsor me. That'd be so cool. Probably not gonna happen, but it would be cool. But yeah, the pre-workout I used was the Beyond Raw Lit 2.0 new formula and Echo Vision's creatine. Looking towards the future of my training, I will be heading back to more hypertrophy work following this. Um, Try to just maintain as much muscle as physically possible. Also, maybe try to gain a little bit more. That'd be pretty cool. Right now, the plan is to do 4 blocks across 16 to 18 weeks of hypertrophy work, which will keep going. I guess it'll be around July. Start of July is when that'll be over. Yeah, goal for the next block is to lose 4 pounds, which will be a block of 4 weeks. So 4 pounds, 4 weeks, super doable. Um, yeah, then we're gonna try to move that like 80-20 split of good food to bad food to a 90-10. Not gonna do tracking calories yet because I just don't think I need to. Then also increase cardio done. Just go for a little walk every now and again. Nothing too crazy. And yeah, that wraps up training block check-in number 3. Uh, Thank you for hanging out with me uh, for as long as you have today. If you made it this far, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. In this video description, I will have a link tree that will have my TikTok and Instagram on there, where I put all my short form content, as well as a Patreon page where I upload all my lifting programs to. So if you want the one I use for this program, you can go find it there. They are on there for absolutely free. Um, yeah, that's all I have for you, wonderful human beings today. Until next time, God bless.